What was the big incident at your high school?
Okay, do I have a story for y'all? Okay, so I'm a senior right now at Pickerington North High School, go Panthers, and but this was actually a story that happened freshman year. Okay, let's get into the story. So it was just a normal Thursday. First period of the day, I was actually going to have a science test, which I was really not looking forward to because I didn't study at all. Terrible mistake on my part. So yeah, me and my buddy were stressing out because we knew we were going to have to take that test. So the teacher starts passing around the tests around all the tables, and we were just doing our thing for the first 5 minutes of the period. So right in the middle of the test, the principal comes over the intercom for the whole school and says, "We are going into a level 3 lockdown," which is like the biggest lockdown you can possibly have. Come back for part 2. So this is going to be part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, go to my page and watch that before this. So the lockdown gets called, and me and my buddy are all psyched because it's like, yes, we don't have to do the test for a little bit. Because we thought it was like a little drill or something. So the principal comes back over the intercom and says, "Hey, we're investigating something inside of a locker. Please stay in your classroom and be still." So at this point, me and my buddy, we get the gist like, oh, this isn't a drill. So I'm not even kidding. But like less than 30 seconds later, the principal comes on the mic yelling, "Evacuate, evacuate, evacuate." And me and my buddy, we look at each other like, we finna die today. Now the teacher's trying to escort everyone out of the classroom safely and calmly, but we weren't having that. We were booking it out of there. So you have kids screaming and yelling, running down the halls, just complete pandemonium. Come back for part 3. So this is actually going to be part 3. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, go back to my page and go find them. So yeah, you have kids screaming and running everywhere. Complete chaos in the hallways. So me and my buddy eventually get out of the school and are just running with the rest of the crowd to this giant field behind the school. Everyone was just trying to get as far away from the school as possible. Now, at this point, people were spreading rumors like, oh, it was probably an explosive device in a locker or something. So with that thought inside of everyone's heads, the teachers actually forced us to walk over to the middle school, which was like half a mile away. And it was soaking wet and raining and muddy everywhere. People were taking off their shoes and lifting them so they wouldn't get destroyed. So while me and my buddy were walking with a bunch of the other people to the middle school, you had people absolutely screaming out of the parking lot, burning rubber, just trying to get away from the school. Part 4. So this is part 4. If you haven't seen parts 1, 2, or 3, go find them. So me and my buddy and a bunch of other people arrive at the middle school and are just waiting. They won't tell us anything, and eventually they just send buses to send us home. Now, everyone gets home, school's called off for a day, and everyone's like, what happened? So it turns out one of the guard dogs actually smelled something inside of a locker, and they went to go check it out. So they open the locker, and they see a metal box with wires sticking out, and a weird smell coming from it. And that's basically where everything started. So they send the bomb squad in, and it apparently was a lunchbox with broken locker decorations with spoiled yogurt. To think, that's what started it all. So after that Thursday, we had a couple other Thursday incidents, so it became Threat Thursday.
Sneaky Nuts 2012. A guy in my graduating class left his balls out in a yearbook photo, and obviously nobody saw it, and it ended up in the yearbook. They distributed like 1,500 of these yearbooks before they realized what was actually in it. Then the school photoshopped that photo so that it didn't have sneaky nuts in it, made it onto a sticker, and then stuck those over top of the photo in all the yearbooks to try and redeem themselves. The whole incident went viral on Twitter, and I remember Tosh.0 tweeting about it, which we all thought was the coolest thing because he was such a big deal back in the day.
So when I was in high school, I was close with this one girl. We're not going to mention any names. She told me and all of our other friends that she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and she had to go into surgery for it. So the day of the surgery, obviously she's posting pictures of herself in the hospital gown. Everyone's wishing her luck, for her surgery. So she goes in for the surgery, and I think it was the day after. I saw everyone was posting pictures of her on some RIP, rest in peace, my angel, all of that stuff. Needless to say, I had a very emotional weekend. So I go to school the Monday, and I'm obviously comforting all of my friends because we had just lost our friend. So eventually the school bell rings, and it's time for everyone to make their way to the hall for assembly. The entire school is sitting in the hall, and the principal brings up the fact of my friend passing away. He says there has been no confirmation from her parents, but they're trying to contact them to figure out what's going on, if it's true, all of that. Assembly eventually ends, and everyone goes to their classes. Then one of my friends comes up to me and goes, "Tasman, I don't think this girl is dead." This one statement sparks a meeting between everybody that was friends with this girl that had passed away. Everyone's going through their phones of pictures of her from the surgery, and people are just pointing out the fact that she had short braids in the pictures, but the last time we saw her at school, she had long braids. At this point, everyone in our friend group is turning into the FBI. Some of my friends even called the hospital that this girl said she was in for the surgery. The hospital had no record of this girl going to them. Ever. So after hearing this, all of us are like, no, it has to be a prank. It has to. At this point, the whole school is just insane because of this. Everyone eventually finds out that this girl did not actually pass away. And when she came back to school, she had no friends, and people were calling her the walking Jesus. And every time she walked past people would scatter and say, "I see a ghost!"
I want to start this off by saying I went to a pretty privileged school, so for this event to happen was very unlike the area I went to. My high school was very well equipped with technology and very up to the times of what was going on in the world. We had a Blue Point system installed. It was basically like a fire alarm, but if you pulled it, it would put the entire school into lockdown. The police were notified and would come to the school immediately. So one day, me and my friends were just sitting at lunch, and all of a sudden we hear this tornado siren go off, and we look outside and see the blue sky and the sun shining, so we had no idea why we were hearing it. We ran to a nearby classroom to see what was going on, then to notice everybody running outside for their lives. We asked the teacher what was going on. She said the Blue Point was pulled and that we needed to run, and we needed to run fast. I'm running out of time. Let me know if you want a part 2. Holy shit. I'm sorry for making you guys wait for a part 2. I posted that at 1 a.m. last night and fell asleep. Woke up pretty late, and so I just had to put on some makeup, but here I am. Here's part 2. The teacher told us to run, so we did exactly that. We ran as fast as we could to the nearby fire department. I was lucky enough to get out of the building, but my sister was not. My sister was locked in her classroom where they barricaded the door with everything they could find and had to put their backpacks on their chests just in case a shooter did come in. Once she got evacuated, I met up with her and we went home. We had about 17 different fire and police departments come out to the school, including the FBI. Throughout this entire ordeal, I had a family member be contacted by someone who works at the courthouse who said, "Get the girls out now. There is someone with a weapon." The entire school was evacuated successfully and no one was injured. However, I'm now going to make a part 3 because I don't have enough time. Here's part 3. In the end, no one was injured, no one was hurt. They never told us the full story. However, since I had that inside source, we do know that someone was responsible and that there was a genuine threat in the school. This happened in 2019, the day before winter break, so we all got to go home and not have to deal with school for a pretty long time. I do have videos from that day, but I'm not sure if I'm going to post them because it could be very triggering for someone to watch. When we went back to school after winter break, we had a very high police presence at my school, and a lot of kids got searched after that. There were no rumors or talks of people who went missing after the event took place, so I don't know who did it, but all I do know is that we were in danger. I want to say thank you to the police departments for keeping us all safe and acting as fast as they could.
Okay, this is super messed up, but at Southline High School about like 10 years ago, we had a poop bandit. A poop bandit would poop everywhere, poop all over the stalls, on the walls, like literally poop everywhere, and no one has ever came clean.